Welcome to Dr. Jester Rants, and I'm gonna rant about this from Niche Gamer. Wolfire Games files antitrust lawsuit against Steam, accuses Valve of preventing better deals on other stores. This is absolutely stupid. Let me put it this way, especially the reasons behind the lawsuit. I'm covering this in another website as well. So, let's move on. Wolfire Games have filed an antitrust lawsuit against Valve for its 30% revenue cut, and allegedly forbidding games being sold cheaper elsewhere. Well, technically not quite. You can actually sell your games relatively cheap elsewhere, and even more so, you can actually get the keys for your game for free, and then sell it on your own website. Without Valve taking a single cut. Anyway, Wolfire Games have filed an antitrust lawsuit against Valve for its 30% revenue cut and allegedly forbidding games being sold cheaper elsewhere. I have a feeling people are actually speculating, and I have a feeling that they may be right. There might actually be something more behind this, especially because this fits within the talking points of a certain Timmy Tencent. You know, Team Sweeney from Epic Games Store. Anyway, Law 360 reports the lawsuit was filed by the Overgrowth and received to developer on April 27th in the U.S. District Court of the Western District of Washington, along with William Herbert and Daniel Escobar. The lawsuit focused on Valve's 30% revenue cut on Steam, pretty much a talking point for Epic Games Store, and how 75% of PC game sales in the US are via Steam. Not Valve's fault. Again, this is not Valve's fault. It's because most users are there, and most users prefer the platform because it even has a goddamn shopping cart, which Epic Games Store does not have. Anyway, it claims that Valve uses their dominance to take an extraordinarily high cut from nearly every sale that passes through its store. Look, I'm pretty sure Valve could actually decrease it to 20% because technology has advanced to the point that it's cheaper now, but I still think that Valve's cut is kind of somewhat justified based on what they offer, especially to the consumers and to the developers. And even more so, if a developer goes under, obviously the game may not be sold, but people reinstalling the game and the forums and things like that will then be all supported and offered by Valve itself. As in, the person would have to re-download the game, and its costs will then be all swollen by Valve. There's no other way around it. They have to offer the product that the consumer paid for. Anyway, it claims that Valve uses the dominance to take extraordinarily high cut from nearly every sale that passes through its store, going as far as stating Valve uses the dominance to exploit publishers and consumers. I don't feel exploited by Valve. One method of this alleged scheme is via Steam key price parity provision. This allegedly prevents publishers from selling the game for a better price on other platforms. This creates a vicious cycle of the stores struggle to compete. This is smelling more and more Epic Games Store shit, thereby forcing publishers and developers to continue to use Steam over them. Further, the lawsuit claims Valve reserves the right to deny keys and revoke keys requesting privileges if they disadvantage Steam customers. The suit claims that the term's language is using the notion protecting the customers as a charade. Let's say. Those customers are the same ones that can and do purchase Steam keys on other storefronts besides Steam Store. They are harmed when they cannot find games for lower prices elsewhere because Valve has restrained price competition through its price parity provisions. Moreover, Valve explicitly instructs publishers that Valve forces this position to avoid a situation where customers get a worse offer on the Steam store. Put another way, Valve uses this restriction to prevent customers from getting a better deal anywhere other than the Steam store. Those rival distributors have no meaningful way to attract publisher customers and take away share from Valve, because their efforts to compete on price by charging lower commissions are blocked by Valve price parity requirements. That's not technically true. For instance, you can release your game elsewhere, but as long as you use a Steam serial number, you actually have to respect it. But then not every single publisher does that, and Valve doesn't punish them for it. But you know which store that doesn't allow you to sell elsewhere once you sell them from there, and you have to respect a certain exclusivity term? Epic Games Store. Am I seeing a single competition, a single complaint about that? Not even a tiny little bit. Oh. The lawsuit also highlights how the Epic Games Store takes only 12% from sales, something Epic Games heavily focused on the time of the game's launch. And the ongoing Apple vs Epic Games lawsuit, the latter that has claimed that Epic Games Store will not be profitable until 2023. Apple predicts until 2027. And the way things are pissing money away, it may not be anytime soon. So it will take a while for us to see if those 12% sales really pays off. It may even come to a point in which an online store like this, the moment they stop selling the game to the consumer, they may start charging the consumer to download the game again, the game you actually own. And that's not going to be a welcome addition, because this was the norm for multiple of other online stores in the past, especially add-ons for Flight Simulator. That was one of the biggest gripes I had in actually purchasing a single add-on from PMDG back in the days. That's why I always prefer to have a physical copy of the add-on from Flight Simulator. And that was the biggest reason. Once, for instance, Steam Market went into business and other things like that, other stores, even though PMDG only offered a physical copy on other stores, and you actually, the digital version, you actually had to buy from their store, and you actually had to pay to re-download your copy or other things like that, I said, fuck it, I'm not buying from them. I'm going to acquire from a place of ill repute. But eventually they dropped that. As years went on, they dropped that, and the chances of me purchasing that again went down the drain because my financial situation went down the drain as well. So that went down. Let's go take a look. I'll continue this. Anyway, other news: Microsoft announced that they are reducing their take from PC games on Microsoft Store also to 12%. Will still Steam move towards 12% revenue as its rivals have? Sound off in the comments below. Wait, what? It's not the only legal issue. I think somebody moved the paragraphs here a little bit. Anyway, this is not the only legal issue Valve are involved in right now. The aforementioned Apple vs Epic Games lawsuit has had the former ask Valve for 6 years of their sales data, any discounts, and when they became available on Steam. Apple claimed the information was crucial for calculating the size of the mobile gaming market. Valve rejected this request, and they said they did not keep such records, and 99% of over 30,000 games on Steam from third parties, including confidential data, despite the already extensive man hours. Seriously, copy editor here, please. And Valve stating they did not compete in the mobile gaming space. Apple reduced their request to 436 games, those available on both Steam and Epic Games Store. This data will still have included from 2015 all sales price change, gross revenues, and all the Valve rejected this as well, stating Apple has failed to produce evidence they needed if it for their case. Nonetheless, Valve were ordered to surrender 4 years of sales data from 436 games rather than 6 years. I think, and now you should actually add this in the end. Well, either way, let's move on to the other website from Law Street. Full steam ahead. Valve Corporation sued for antitrust violations, tying video games to Steam Store. It's a lot of bullshit on this lawsuit, like I said. Take 30% of the commission. This is also a very large bullshit. Let's see, plaintiffs are aware that Valve is able to charge 30% commission because it actively suppresses competition to protect its market dominance. Why don't you offer a store with the same stuff as Valve? The only other store that even comes close in offering the same shit as Valve does is GOG. You know, good old games from CD Projekt Red. It offers forums, doesn't offer mod download, so that's a big no-no. But it offers a shopping cart, which is something that Epic Games Store still refuses to actually do anything. It's things like this that makes you question, if you really want to compete with Valve, you better offer the same pirating stuff. But they won't. Another thing, Epic Games Store promised lower prices for games because they charged less for the developer. But that's something I have yet to see. For instance, in many of the games that I've seen or that I've compared, the prices ended up being more expensive than purchasing on Valve itself. What gives? What the fuck, dude? And even more so, they actually charge because there was no conversion rate. Maybe now they do. Either way, I never actually bothered again to check it out. But the payment process that they used were also charging me extra. Something that Valve did not do. And they were charging me extra to buy from their store. So what the fuck? Why would I purchase anything in there? And then run the risk for my credit card, local credit card, to be blocked because I purchased multiple stuff because Epic Games Store doesn't have an actual shopping cart. Anyway, they argue that Valve knows that typically a PC game must be compatible with Steam gaming platform in order to be successful. That's actually quite fucking bullshit. It doesn't even need to be compatible. You actually just need to release the game there. For instance, me as an end user can actually add any game, even those games released before Steam became a thing, to be used on Steam itself, on Steam Launcher. For instance, I can use... No, let me put it this way. The most recent game that I've added and used it is, Steel Beasts. That I purchased the update when I could still afford it. And I added it on Steam and on the Steam Launcher. Yes, it was never made to be compatible with Steam. And yet, I can actually use it. I even use the launcher itself. I can use the browser in there. I use the friends and everything in there. No problem at all. For instance, Total Air War. A game that was released... Well, I think it was released more or less as the same year as Half-Life 1 was released. And that was... Steam was probably some toilet dump idea on Gabe Newell. It was probably just a fart in his own brain back then. And it's compatible. I can still launch the game. Seriously, this is weird here. Anyway, it just makes no sense. The plaintiff has explained that Valve's Steam game platform provides a software environment where gamers can maintain the library of games, connect with others on social networking and multiplayer gaming. things that other platforms do not offer, and access to other ancillary services provided by Valve. And Valve provides even more. It provides SDK, provides even an environment where you can actually emulate your game on Linux, where a gamer can actually purchase their game for Windows and play on Linux. Something that Epic Games Store does not offer. They offer servers and things like that, which is also part itself of the 30%, something that Epic Games Store does not offer either. Anyway, the plaintiffs noted that Valve is the largest platform for PC games in the world. Oh, another thing that you're not even mentioning. For instance, when the developers Tripwire released their games Rising Storm 2 on Epic Games Store, they actually had to change the entire back end of the Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, so it could be compatible to Epic Games Store. Otherwise, Epic Games Store would not have multiplayer. Yes, and now every single user from Steam who actually has the Rising Storm actually has to use the goddamn filthy Epic Games Store to actually play their own game, their own stuff, because it's not compatible. So they actually ended up releasing a patch for Steam users that they actually have to use their own Epic Games Store login to play their copy of their game. See? I don't think these developers are actually thinking straight, or they are being funded by Epic Games Store. There's something going on in there that is quite questionable at best. Anyway, the plaintiffs that a PC game publisher consider it essential for the games to be compatible with Steam Game Pro, otherwise they cannot reach the vast majority of their potential customers. Well, your fault. The plaintiffs allege that Valve supported the Steam via the Steam gaming platform and Steam Store. Furthermore, in addition to the 30% commission requirement to sell most of their games, and moving on, the other games distributors have tried to compete with Valve via lower commission on Steam keys. Aha, there you go, which have tried to compete, which grant access to Steam-enabled games, failed to make a dent on Steam Store's market share because publishers using those distributors had to charge the same inflated price they set on Steam Store. No, you could actually... Well, for instance, many of the games released exclusively on Epic Games Store had the same price as they would if they were on Steam, or even more expensive. And once their exclusivity deal went down the drain and they went running back to Steam for those extra sales, the prices did not lower anywhere else. They were still high on Epic Games Store and sometimes even lower on Steam. What gives? Anyway, moreover, the price veto provision gives Valve veto power to over their pricing. The class consists of all persons and entities who directly or through a nature purchase a sold PC game in the Game Store in the United States from January. Let's see. Moving on. Moving on to now Wikipedia. Just so you know which type of developer you are dealing with here. So definitely no doxing. There it is. Wolfire Games, an American independent video game development company founded by David Rosen. Wolfire Games develop video games for Mac OS, Windows and Linux. They are the ones behind Humble Bundle. Yes, Wolfire ran the first Humble Bundle, and this was spun into a separate company by Jeff Rosen and John Graham after the second bundle. Albeit now, Humble Bundle is now owned by IGN. Let's see, subsidiary, let's see anything else in here that will get my bunghole in trouble? No. Alright, Wolfire Games 2010 by the second. Let's see. Analysis, publishing, privacy, development, sales timing. Moving on. Alright, oops, sorry. Returning, there you go. Shortly after, David Twin Brother, Sierra Company, after 24 they met with owner, Sierra City, and let me put it this way, these people are actually triggered Overgrowth and Receiver, which were technically very shitty games. But I didn't even know they were releasing games. I didn't even know what type of games they were making because they were technically very shitty games. The only one that I kind of remember were being talked about on gaming magazines back in the day when I still used to purchase PC Gamer magazine, you know, the actual magazine itself. Were called, yes, Lugaru. It's a weird bunny thingy fighter game. And they received some praise back in the day, but that's about it. And beyond that, nothing. Nothing at all. So, this just gives you a pretty good idea what the shit and what the fuck is going on in all of this. Anyway, if you like what you see here, stay in goddamn fucking YouTube.com/Dr. Jester or head to bitch.com/Dr. Jester or minds.com/Dr. Jester for that spicy content. Yeah. Content that I cannot even cover on YouTube because YouTube is easily triggered. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a very good night. Fuck you, YouTube.